The Ventari sector was dying. A supernova had ruptured the core of its primary star, and the shockwave fractured nearby systems like glass under pressure. Gravity wells collapsed, atmospheres bled into space, and planetary crusts split open in fire. Earth responded instantly, not with weapons but with doctors, engineers, and scientists. 37 ships, all marked with blue emblems of peace, launched from the sole humanitarian command. No weapons, no soldiers, just aid. Humanity, for all its scars, had chosen compassion. Commander Alina Reyes stood aboard the Solis Ark, Earth's flagship medical vessel. Her hair was silver, cropped, her eyes steel behind the lenses of her neural HUD. She had treated plague zones on Europa and extracted colonists from quasar radiation storms. She was not unfamiliar with death. But this mission was not supposed to flirt with it. The Ventari cry for help had been desperate but clear. The planetary coalition was overwhelmed. Supply lines broken, hospitals flattened, population centers failing. Earth's aid wasn't just welcome, it was salvation. Each ship carried atmosphere stabilizers, water synthesizers, orbital medical drones, and humanitarian AI capable of triaging millions. Humanity's reputation preceded them. Whenever crisis struck, Earth answered. That was their new doctrine. Uplift, not conquer. Aid, not dominate. That's why, when the Solis Ark received its last transmission from the Ventari governor, a garbled thank you buried in static, Reyes smiled. They were almost there. The fleet crossed the boundary into the sector. It was quiet, too quiet. Scans returned blank fields. No orbiting debris, no beacon signals, just an empty graveyard of silence. Fleet-wide scan sweep. Something's wrong, Reyes ordered. Her AI flickered. Ma'am, I detect residual heat signatures. Very recent. Engine emissions. Multiple, unknown class. A whisper of static slid into the comms channel. Then came the message. You came to bleed. No source. No origin stamp. Just those 4 words. Then the power across the Solis Ark fluctuated. Emergency protocols kicked in. Generators rerouted. Shields attempted to rise. They never made it. Across the formation, black ripples tore from the void. Cloaked ships, hidden in gravitational pockets, emerged like phantoms. The first explosion shattered the Helios Mercy. Fragments of its hull spun silently, trailing fire like broken wings. The Ark shuddered. Boarding torpedoes punched through unarmored decks. They hadn't prepared for this. They weren't supposed to. On board, engineers grabbed fusion torches, wielding them as makeshift weapons. Medical drones turned scalpels into defense systems. People fought not because they were trained to, but because they were human. Commander Reyes activated a backup signal. It transmitted only once, heavily compressed. We were lured here. It's a trap. Then everything went dark. Earth's rescue fleet, 37 ships strong, never returned. No survivors, no signals, nothing but that final echo, picked up days later by a civilian cargo hauler near the sector border. The fleet had vanished, not in battle but in betrayal, and across Earth's networks, Reyes's final log entry began to circulate. If this message is found, we came only to help. The attackers were Dravari. The Dominion hadn't declared war. They hadn't issued a warning or sent demands. They had waited, silent and patient, knowing Earth would send help. They knew humanity would never ignore a distress call. It was never an ambush by chance. It was bait, calculated, cruel, and successful. Dravari battle philosophy was simple. Cripple morale before targeting infrastructure. Kill the idea before the body. That's why they didn't vaporize the ships from orbit. They wanted to board, to film, to mock. Human medics executed in surgery bays. Engineers flayed across their consoles. Captains dragged from their bridges with scalpels still in their hands. It wasn't just war. It was humiliation. The footage surfaced hours later. Dravari news channels broadcasted it with theatrical narration. Observe the saviors. The high strategist hissed. Stripped of delusion. Their charity makes them soft. Their mercy makes them meat. The galaxy watched and said nothing. Earth's allies issued condolences, not action. The Galactic Council proposed a resolution, weak and buried in committee. No sanctions. No military movement. The Dravari were too dangerous, too large, too well-armed. Better not to provoke them. But Earth did not remain silent. The footage spread fast, first to the colonies on Mars, then Europa, then Titan, and finally the Outer Belt. 37 ships. Thousands dead. Not soldiers. Not aggressors. But healers, scientists, and civilians. The reaction was not shock. It was fury. Deep, primal, measured. In the heart of New Geneva, citizens gathered in silence before the Coalition Hall. No slogans. No leaders. Just candles and the words painted in white across the steps. No more mercy. Reyes's final audio log was played again and again. Her voice steady, tired. If this is heard, we came only to help. May our light not die in the void. It did not die. It ignited. Earth's leadership tried diplomacy. Official statements condemned the Dravari. Messages were sent to the Galactic Council demanding accountability. But there was no response. The galaxy had grown used to a quiet Earth. Generous, disciplined, calm. They had forgotten what humans could become when mourning turned into wrath. The trigger was the anniversary. One standard week after the loss, a second transmission surfaced. This one from a Dravari admiral, drunk on victory. Perhaps next time, send warships, not wet nurses. He laughed. That night, Earth's orbital shipyards lit up. Civilian AIs were decommissioned. The old war cores, long dormant, were activated again. Project Cerberus was authorized. A fleet not for defense, not for peacekeeping, but for punishment. They did not name the ships with hope this time. They named them for fire, for pain, for loss. Judgment, Revenant, Vesper, Ash. Earth would not seek apologies. It would not wait for justice. It would teach the Dravari what mercy cost. The humanitarian fleet had vanished in silence. The vengeance fleet would arrive in thunder. They struck without declaration. No ceremony, no warning. Just movement in the void and death that followed. The first Dravari relay station vanished from galactic charts before their scanners registered an inbound threat. A black mass had entered orbit, deployed a kinetic lance from 20,000 kilometers out, and punched a hole straight through the moon-sized facility. There were no survivors. There was no debris, just a crater glowing blue from impact heat. Earth called it Operation Burning Solace. The galaxy called it something else. The Silence War. Because the humans didn't speak. Not in public, not through diplomacy, not through messages. They simply acted, and their actions were terrible. The fleet was not vast, but it was surgical. 12 vessels, each unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Matte black hulls that bent sensor signals. Engines that ran cold. Pilots that were half human, half AI. Ghosts bonded with war cores developed during Earth's last interstellar war. Buried deep in classified archives. They'd never needed them. Until now, these ships did not engage in battle. They executed operations. One by one, Dravari military stations began to fail. Not just destroyed, unraveled. Entire fleets stranded in dead space without fuel. Manufacturing cores corrupted. High command stations imploded with gravitic charges planted by infiltration drones that moved like whispers. The messages left behind were always the same. Burned into walls. Carved into alloy plating. Etched into the helmets of fallen Dravari commanders. We came to save. You made us monsters. In Dravari territory, fear turned to panic. Reports surfaced of human operatives operating deep within military zones, disabling ships with viral AI, sowing chaos from within. One Dravari broadcast station recorded a message before it went dark. A single Terran voice, calm and cold. This isn't war. This is memory enforcement. The galaxy began to fracture under the weight of it. Not because Earth sought conquest. There were no annexations, no territorial claims, but because the myth of human restraint was dead. The peacekeepers had become predators. And the galaxy realized just how efficient humanity could be when it abandoned mercy. Even so, they were not without restraint. At the edge of the Zereth system, a Dravari research station housing civilians and younglings was spared. The human commander, Captain Maravex, stood at its gates, war fleet behind her. She made a choice. She left them untouched. She told the Dravari scientists, "We don't kill children. You do. That's the difference." Her image spread, a moment of contrast, proof that Earth had not become what it hated, that even in revenge, there were lines it refused to cross. But for the rest, there was no clemency. Only silence and aftermath. The humans didn't come to parley. They didn't issue terms. They came to make the galaxy remember. And in every ruined outpost, every burning corridor, every shattered transmission tower, there was the echo of a simple truth. Earth did not start the war, but Earth would end it. The Dravari Dominion finally responded, but not with threats, with fear. Their high strategist appeared in a trembling broadcast, flanked by broken officers and half-melted honor medallions. He did not boast. He begged for ceasefire, for talks, for understanding. But Earth did not answer. Instead, the Vesper appeared in orbit over Dravar Prime, the capital, untouched until then. No shots fired. Just a single Terran ship hovering silently, its hull cloaked in shifting black, eclipsing their sky like judgment incarnate. Every defense system on the planet was armed, targeting systems locked, but none dared fire, because the Vesper didn't need weapons to bring a planet to its knees. It projected one thing onto every screen, from the slums of the Undercities to the golden towers of the elite. Reyes's final message, her voice again and again. If this message is found, we came only to help. The impact was catastrophic. Riots broke out across the Dravari Empire. Citizens who had cheered the slaughter now wept. Soldiers deserted their posts. Entire border colonies refused resupply orders, fearing Earth's next arrival. The mythology of Dravari supremacy cracked, and in its place, the reality of Terran fury settled like ash. Still, Earth did not destroy Dravar Prime. The Vesper held position for 3 days, unmoving, unyielding. Then it left without a word, without a strike. It was not mercy. It was warning. Back in Sol, humanity stood divided between grief and resolve. The cost of vengeance had been incalculable. Tactical minds consumed by rage, AI cores fused to neural patterns beyond recovery. Soldiers lost not to death, but to silence, unable to return to normal life. They had gone too far to go back, but they had done what they must. No other system dared test Earth again. Pirate clans disbanded. Warlord empires reduced their arms. Even ancient empires, untouched by the conflict, began treaty talks with the Sol Federation, not out of alliance, but reverence. Terrorborn, yes, but real. Earth was no longer the reluctant peacekeeper. It had become the enforcer of consequence. The Galactic Council, once spineless, now trembled when Earth's ambassadors entered. They listened when humans spoke. They never forgot the price of silence. Years passed. A monument was built in the ruins of the Helios Mercy's last coordinates. Not of war, not of vengeance, but of those who never came home. A ring of blue light, pulsing in the dark. And beneath it, inscribed in Terran and Galactic Common alike, "We came only to help." That phrase would echo across generations. A reminder not just of what was lost, but what was unleashed. That humanity's mercy was deep, but its wrath was deeper. And though the stars moved on, every civilization remembered one lesson etched in the bones of war. You do not harm Earth's healers. Not without consequence.